Perek Sheni. Perek Shlishi. I'm sorry. Let's start Perek Shlishi. Tomer Devorah Perek Shlishi. Let's just review what we're talking about here. We're talking about the emulating Hashem Tzelem Elikim al pi hasviros, which is a little bit more complex and sophisticated than emulating Hashem al pi hamidos. Midos are what Hashem does, midos, and Spheros are kiviyachol what Hashem is. Not that we can understand what Hashem is, but a little bit of a glimpse we receive. In other words, we understand what chesed is, we understand what mercy is, we can understand it, we can try to get a deeper understanding. But Spheros, without the gilui of the Kabbalah, there's just no way to understand what it even means. So we're talking about a sort of a structure of, again, lefi sichleinu, what lefi asagas yadeinu, what we can understand about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's awesome, no? Just awesome. You know, I keep saying every night in the Tehillim shir that I don't usually say this about my shir, but if you miss it, you're missing a good shir. It's like we're all saying Tehillim for years, and davening Sukkot Zimmer for years, and I'm finding myself until I'm learning it now. You and I have no idea what sing it, we have beautiful nigunim, but what is it? Keres habayis. What does it mean? But that's even deeper, because that's not only can we understand the kind of sort of the mahus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the spheroids, but David HaMelech actually talks about having a relationship with that. So, like, if you're talking about Hashem as some sort of energy, or like you don't have a relationship with energy, you know, we're talking about spirits, and what the Ramak is saying is deeper yet, because what he's saying is that if we can understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu's spheroids, we can understand the Komas Ha'adam. And the Komas Ha'adam is that the same circuitry is built within us. Like I say, it's no other word but awesome. It's the circuitry of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is built within us. So if the Kabbalah even draw the diagram of a man to understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the Yikar is Hashem. We also have this bonsai microcosm of the circuitry of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we were talking about the beginning of the spheros is the more difficult part of the spheros, which is called the Keser. And Keser is, to say it simply, Al Pi HaZohar, is Keser, like a triangle. Keser, Chochma, Bina. Similar to lower down, you have Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes. But this is an upside down segel. So you have Keser on top, Chochma, and Bina. We were discussing the Keser until now, complicated, and now we're going to be discussing the Chochma and the Bina. The reason why I say it's more complex at the beginning of the spheros than it is at the end of the spheros, because the earlier in the spheros it is, we don't find this by the midos of Hashem, Kol Racham L'Chanan. They're sort of equal. You know, it's standing, but by the spheros, the earlier the spheros, the more hidden it is.
Closer to Hashem.
Closer to Hashem, and therefore more hidden. So we can understand a little bit about Chesed and Gevurah. We can understand a lot about Malchus, because Malchus is very down to earth. That's the lowest sphere. We understand a lot about Midas HaYesod. But from Chesed and Gevurah we can understand. But these are called Keser, Chochma, and Bina. I don't want to confuse things or complicate things with Kabbalistic concept. I'm using Kabbalah to make it easier, not to make it more difficult. But they're called, it's like an interesting word, they're called the Moichin. Moichin. Right. What does Moichin mean? So we call Moichin brains. But when we understand how we work, how we operate, what we say, what we do, what makes us, it's all being triggered or
Processed.
what's
Processed?
no, no. It's all coming from this invisible thing called Moach.
Yeah.
Now Bina is a process. So we're not. It's interesting that everybody sees or hears what I'm saying, and everybody sees what I'm doing, and everybody knows about my personality and all that. But what's driving that? What's driving that is Ne'elam, and what's Ne'elam is Keser, Chochma, and Bina. That's Ne'elam. So it's very difficult to understand. So if you don't understand it, you can't emulate it. So it's important to understand, but it's difficult to understand. Just as a side point, like there's also in the Keser a different way of looking at it, which is Chochma, Bina, and Das. So people say, okay, that's the Lubavitchers. It's not it's an equal concept. What?
Chochma, Bina, Das. Chabad.
Very good. That's what I'm saying. It's an equal concept. It's equally important kabbalistically. It's just two sides of a coin. So what you have is Chochma Keser, Chochma Bina, where the segel is turned upwards, upside down. Bear with me on this because it's important. Or you could have when the Keser is down here, so you have Chochma Bina, and Das takes the place of the Keser. So let's put it this way: there's the Keser Elyon, and then there's the Keser Tachtay. Just
So the difference is the Das and the Keser.
Das equals Keser.
Haber?
Yeah.
If I could just try to translate this to the terms we can understand, this lahavdil, like someone comes out with a CD, the name of the CD might be the same name as the top song. So the first song, or one of the songs might be that name of the CD. So Keser is the name of the whole three. Keser is also the name of the first one, which was the most important of the three.
So that's not what I'm saying.
Is that what you're saying?
No. So let me try to put in words we can understand, because I want to be very careful with this, because I can't stand when people talk about these things. They have no idea what they're talking about. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying, I'm talking about me. Now this is it's like such it's hard to use our imagination. But let me just read you from the Arizal for a
I thought
minute.
the whole three were Keser. That's why I was asking.
No, that happens to be true, but that's not what we're talking about. It happens to be that all that is called the Keser. And your Hezbollah is a good one, like a CD. That's a good Hezbollah, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Besides for that, the whole thing is called Keser. There's a compartment called Keser, Chochma, Bina, or you could say Chochma, Bina, Das, where Keser is not a thing, nor is it only the name of the thing. But Das is the flip side of Keser. So let me put it in words that I could understand, where the Keser is taking from, like us. Let's talk about us for a minute, our Keser. So there's us that's taking from Shemayim, like a Navi. Let's say you're a Navi, and you're hearing the voice of Hashem. Yes, well, you're for sure. So you're hearing the voice of Hashem. And Das is taking that voice and translating it to a place where it can be now brought into the to the Chesed Gvur Tiferes. I'm sure in the world of science and chemistry, and there's a million examples of this, but let's just talk about this example. We don't need a better example, because when I hear something scientific, I say, oh, that's like the
receiver and transmitter. Receiver and transmitter.
No.
I'm missing.
No, you are missing. Because you're mixing in process. You keep on, get rid of that. What we're talking about is not receiver and transmitter. We're talking about we're talking about that which is heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and then translating it into a code which the world can understand, called the Bria. Let me just read you for a minute from Ruchaim Vital. Ruchaim Vital says as follows in Sefer Piskei Chochmas Emes. L'famim choshvin Chabad, l'famim machmas goydel lahelam shebekeser, eina keser nichnas becheshvan. As choshvin as hadas. Keser could be so hidden that it's already beyond anything that we have anything to discuss about. So in such a case, we talk about das. In the words of the Balatanya, das is derech ha'avoda, and keser, he agrees, everybody agrees with each other, it's the same thing. But keser is derech of, like a philosophical thing, like you can maybe understand it, maybe you can't, but das is what do you do with it. So we're not talking about transmission. L'famim machmas goydel ha'helam, because of the hiddenness of the keser, eina keser nichnas b'cheshbon. Va'oz choshvin as hadas. O shemachmas hadas eino ella hisnoitzetzus hakeser, l'chein ein lo Hashem likanes minin shel sfira b'fnei asmai. Or sometimes das doesn't add anything; it's just a translation of keser. You're just saying what I'm saying, so then we don't talk about das; we just talk about keser. I feel like a little bit guilty talking about something so esoteric, but I'm doing this for a reason. Trust me as a teacher here that in order to understand the spheros correctly and the midos correctly, to bring a lebaisa, like it's important to have these terms right. So nothing to be afraid of over here. So sometimes we don't say das because das is just a hisnotzitzus. What's the word hisnotzitzus mean?
Spark.
Like a spark.
A spark in the verb sense, not in the noun sense.
It means like a
Sparkling.
what?
Sparkling.
Yeah.
Flesh.
Right. So it's just like a reflection of the keser. So the das sometimes is unimportant to even mention. In those cases, we talk about keser, chochma, and bina. And sometimes the keser is so nelam we don't know what to do with it even. So we talk about chochma, bina, and das. So he says over here, at the end of the day, you only have, and the Mekubalim always talk about this, there's never more than Esser and there's never less than Esser. Because there's this idea of trying to get, so maybe there's 11 spheros. You have Keser, you have Das. So like even in the spheros of Shabbos, it says you go Esser, and not more than Esser, not lesser, or like the Sephardim say, Pesach Eliyahu on Erev Shabbos, which is, I used to once in a while daven by the Sephardim and then come here and just say Pesach Eliyahu. It's like such a beautiful thing the way they say it together. But it's all the same thing. The point being that there's really no difference between Das and Keser. It's the same thing. So
it's described as a byproduct of the Chochma Bina. When the Chochma and Bina come together, they produce this offspring of Das.
So that's what the Balatanya says. I don't know that that's a Kula Alma, that part of it, because then you're making Das into Tiferes.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, and therefore Das then becomes like the Keser.
So I'll tell you what it mean. What it means is that Keser sometimes is impossible to understand. It's true. I mean, like how esoteric can we become? Like, so Keser is like so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is above all this, by the way. We're not talking about. This is in the world of Atzilus. There's Hashem, Atzilus, B'ri Atzilus. This is all about Atzilus. But Hashem is above all this. But it goes through, as Eliezer says, a process of Chochma and Bina. And once it goes through that process, now the Keser becomes Muvan as Das. But it's not that Das, that Chochma and Bina equals Das. Don't look at it that way. Look at it as a pipe, where the Keser runs through the Chochma and then the Bina, meaning there's your giver and receiver, your receptor, and now what you're coming out with is something called Das. It's very similar to light, and that's the mashal used by the Arizal all the time, where you have an or pashut. And or is not something which you can see or understand or anything. What's or? Until it's reflecting on something, it has no bashmos at all. But it doesn't mean it's not there. It is there, but it's so esoteric that it's of no consequence to us. So we did talk about the Keser. That's what we were talking about, the Betzach and the Shvi. We're talking about the Etzim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now we're moving our way down to earth, to the world of Chochma. Let me just say, what you want to say, Peter?
Just the word perceptible.
Okay. What do you? I don't know what.
Chochma Bina makes the Keser perceptible.
So, but it's a pipeline. It's not like here's Chochma, here's Bina, and put together you get Das. As opposed to, let's say, Chesed Gevura, the combination of the two, the homogenation of the two. gives you Tiferes, or Netzach Hoid, you get Yisoid. But the whole thing together equals Malchus. There you're adding pieces. It's like pieces of a puzzle. Over here, that's not what's going on in the Kesser. What's going on is we're taking something from esoteria to the point of perception, as you say, and that's what's going on here. So it becomes kind of interesting and very sophisticated for us to walk out of here and say, okay, well, how am I going to change now because of this? Like, what does it all mean for me? So now we're talking about Chochma. So again, these are the moichin. Remember that idea that these are the moichin. The invisible. That doesn't even mean the brain as we're talking about it, but it's talking about that which is somehow, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, like it's not even subconscious. It's a deeper thing than that. The thing that the scientists, there's a part of the brain that the scientists can't even put their finger on, which makes us what we are, and what makes us unique. It's not even something that'll ever show up on it'll never show up on an X-ray. There's something in between all those chambers of the brain, which we call the neshama, and that neshama probably is the thing that makes us unique. It's probably the neshama. Nobody knows what the neshama is, but what?
The moichin are part of the neshama?
Yeah, I believe the kesser is the neshama. When I become a big Rebbe, you'll call me.
Mirz Hashem.
Okay. I'm getting older. Okay, now let's talk about Chochma for a second. Let's read about it a little bit and then take it further. Chochma, here's a simple thing. Hashem has Chochma, we have Chochma. Okay. Hidei HaChochma HaElyola.
Which one is it, sorry?
Perek Shlishi.
Where?
Tomer Devorah. What do you want me to say? What page is it?
You skipped the first line. Okay.
Hey, Yargol Atzmai B'Midos HaChochma. Type. How should a person act with Chochma? Now, again, we all know the answer to that. Well, just act smart. But that's not what we're talking. My whole introduction is to say it's B'chlal that we're talking about. The word Chochma in the world of Kabbalah, it's a toast. It's a toast that even Feldheim makes when he, whoever it is that translated this. Chochma does not mean smart. Chochma means something else. and so, Heich Yargol Adam Atzmai B'Midos HaChochma. Let's try to figure out what that is. Hidei HaChochma HaElyola Prusa Al Kol HaNimtzoim Kulam Im Hayoisai Na'alemes V'Niskeves Ma'oid. The supernal Chochma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is spread across Prusa Al Kol HaNimtzoim Kulam, every part of existence. Im Hayoisai, albeit that it's Na'alemes, that it's completely hidden, V'niskeves, and elated ma'od. V'aleho nemar morabu ma'asecho Hashem, kulam b'chachma asisa. Okay, listen. You thought that kulam b'chachma asisa, we say this every day. Morabu ma'asecho Hashem, kulam b'chachma asisa, like you're looking at this little machine, or let's say you even have like a Mac or something, so whoa, that thing is made b'chachma. Right? There's so much chachma in that thing. That's not the shot. That it was made b'chachma, somebody thought, put this next to that like it's engineered. That's not what that's true about Max, but that's not what this pasuk is talking about. Kulam b'chachma asisa means that chachma is the actual ingredient of the recipe of this world. It's not that he did it b'chachma like an adverb, right? B'chachma asisa. How did I do that? Whoa, you did that wisely. You did that smartly. It's more like a smart house. Like kulam b'chachma asisa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took a thing called chachma.
Chachma was the medium.
Chachma is the thing, the recipe, the flour, the Play-Doh.
Like a blueprint?
No. Chachma is this is made out of chachma. It has its physical properties, its scientific properties you can see, properties you can't see. You need a microscope, and it has in it something called chachma. That's
if I may, the fact that he writes Echiyagir, so the midas of chachma, it goes. I think that's what Rabbi is trying to say. Maybe that goes against all preconception that we have. The Chochma is a given state of a gift. You wise, he's now wise. Here's a midah that we have.
Also correct. Yes, also correct. Allah namar morabu maasecha Hashem. Let's just meditate on the pasuk for a minute. Morabu maasecha Hashem. Like wow, like look at the world. Wow, look at that bird. Look at that tree. Look at that person. Kulam b'chochma asisa. So normally we translate it as this was all made with a gewaltige chochma, like such brilliance. God is a genius, right? That's the normal way of learning. No, kulam b'chochma asisa. The midah of chochma. Read it carefully. The midah of chochma of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is prusa al kol hanimsaim. The chochma is shared with all the nimsaim.
Intrinsically in everything.
In everything there's chochma.
Chochma.
That's right. With chochma.
Wasn't using chochma.
Right. So sometimes, not that this machine is being made. Well, I really thought about this. I used chochma. It's made out of chochma.
I think
It's hard to understand because the problem is that it's a new alpan. Because Chochma doesn't mean that in Hebrew. But it means that in the world of Kabbalah, Chochma means something else. It's a stream, it's a thing, it's a molecule.
It's not with. Be-Chochma doesn't mean with.
In.
Be-Chochma. In Chochma, it's like what Rav saying, not the with. It's not with Chochma. Chochma would be with wisdom. That's not what it means. It's like what Rav is saying. It's Be-Chochma. It means within. I don't know what the word is in English, but it's not with.
It's also with, but it's a different with. Okay.
It's not the tool, it's the component.
That's correct. That's correct.
You say ingredient?
Yeah.
It's definitely not in Chochma.
It's part of the recipe.
It's definitely not in Chochma.
Add a little Chochma.
Let's get the band.
You put his selling into us.
I thought you were going to say Yatsa Salda B'Chochma.
I was thinking about that also.
But that Chochma is going to went into this Chochma as well.
Yeah. So we have within us, just like we have within us, let's say like this, that Hashem has a midas hachesed, we learned from the beginning, right? So we have within us a certain kutshel chesed. We have an ability to do chesed in a godly way. We're made out of chochma. We're made out of chochma, so we can share that chochma. Just like Hashem has a part of his keser, kivyachol, which is made out of chochma. It's part of the ingredient. One of the ingredients of the recipe is chochma. So and now he shares that chochma because we learned at the beginning of Perek Beis that anivus means that it goes top down. That's what anivus means. Moshe Rabbeinu received something and gave it. That's the klal. He gave it anivus. That's the Moshe Anu Mikol Adam. So the same thing. Part of what he gave was chochma. So our chochma, whatever that is, we do not yet know what it is. I'd like to in the next 10 minutes try to explain this, but until now, by the way, if you're confused, I'm only explaining what it's not. I'm not even talking about what it is. I'm only explaining what it's not. It's not. We're confused by the Hebrew word chochma, which is just a one usage of the word chochma where it becomes a verb.
Is that how the Mishkan was made?
Let's get to the Mishkan in a minute. You're always ahead of me there. Kach roy, but let's listen to the words. Kach roy liyadam shetiya chochmasei mitzuya bakol. Listen how, once you know the concept, listen how beautiful the words are. Kach roy l'adam, you hear how beautiful the words are? Kach roy l'adam shetiya chochmasei mitzuya bakol. Not that you should do everything with wisdom. Play it smart. No. Your chochma can be shared like Hashem's chochma is shared. Whatever that is that He has, I have, and now it can be mitzuya bakol. I can have chochma with, and my chochma can be shared with everything all around me, and everything I create is made out of that chochma. I'm trying to get my chochma out there, and you're right, koichai.
Chochma is also an animate object?
What?
Chochma is I made tables. That table has Chochma now? I mean, it's everything I make, or just I mashpia to people?
Kulam b'chochma asisa.
And it's
Marabu masecha Hashem.
The whole masim or
a table, a diamond less than a tzemeach less than a chai.
And it has Chochma in it.
Has Chochma in it.
Which
is a mitzvah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
K'vikoichai. a table one may not have the same koch to spread out.
But it has Chochma inside it.
Yeah, but it doesn't have
If
to.
it wasn't made of Chochma, it's a smartphone. A smartphone.
It doesn't go to spread out.
A smartphone.
It's a smartphone, very
Smartphone
good.
has Chochma inside.
That's good, that's good, that's good.
Chochma phone.
That's what he was referring to the smartphone.
Yeah.
He was
Chochma phone, Chochma phone.
So nowadays we're getting closer to the real Chochma.
It used to be from the Pella Ha'elyon. It's a Pella phone. We reduced it to a Chochma phone.
So nowadays we're actually making items that are smart. In the old days, they didn't have smart.
That's what I said, like a smart house.
I say that we're.
You make things, not that you make things with wisdom. It's not called a smartphone. Oh, it's a good example, just in our vernacular. I don't know that they had this in the old days. It's not that it's called a smartphone because whoever made it was real smart.
Which it was too, but that's irrelevant.
Of course. Or it's not even that it was made b'chachma with smarts. It is smart. It is a hefza of chachma.
That's why it's big, because base is the house of Chacham.
So let's last week's parsha. It's on the Mishkan that you were speaking about here, because this is really the Bakar. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar Re'ei Karasi B'Shem B'Tzalel Ben Uri Ben Choy Lamata Yehuda Ba'amal Yoyse Ruach Halikim B'Chachma B'Svuna U'B'Das U'B'Chol Malacha B'Chachma B'Svuna U'B'Das. There's a process there. It's pipe. Chochma, B'Svuna, B'Das, U'B'Chol Malacha, till it comes to the world of Asiya. It's not three separate things. There's a process here. So it's a stream. So B'Tzalel took something, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to him. V'amalei oisai ruach Elokim. So that stands above all of this. Before to the pasuk. And what happens? It starts with Chochma. Tvuna, which is the receiver. Look at it as light for a second. Let's say this ingredient is something like light. So it's b'chachma, it has no mashmois at all until it gets to bina, where it's starting to reflect on something. You understand that the chachma is, in the world of Kabbalah, is zachar, and bina is nekeva. Isha, bina yisera, loidasa. It's not that she's she's good with the bina stuff, you know. It's not I'm good with information. She's good with bina. It's that's true, but the point is what the isha does in the bria, and not just a woman like the women we know, but the whole feminine nature of the bria is to give a keli and to give mashmos and boundaries to something which is without boundaries. So. You know, the example I always say over and over is that a male is capable of having, I forget the number, a few thousand children in a lifetime. I'm not saying supporting them, but having them, because they have them. A woman is capable of having 16 or 17 children or something like that. You know, if you got 18 or 19, you break the Roger's. 21. Yeah, you break the record or something like Ripley's, believe it or not. So Ripley. So what's the pshat? The pshat is that you can be no sane adasof. So it's like Moshe Kibel Torah B'Sinai. He's taking something infinite. But the point is that the Meiri says at the beginning, Moshe Kibel Torah B'Sinai, it's infinite. When Hashem get everything with a Kibel Masha Kibel. Like you're standing on the bottom of a mountain and somebody's throwing down feathers and you Kibel Masha Kibel. Okay, this is what I've got. Now, Moshe Kibel Torah B'Sinai, Umasra lo Yoshua. What I have, I can give over. Yoshua can give to the Zakanim to the Nevi'im. It can go over, but there's a paradigm shift from bli gvul to gvul. So Moshe Kibel Umasra Kachazolach. So what we're talking about over here is that now this the pasuk starts to scream at us over here. Rei karasi b'shem b'tzalel ben Uri ben Hur labata Yehuda. What is, by the way, while we're here, you just learned this. What does b'shem mean? The Hebrew. Rei karasi b'shem asnachta b'tzalel ben Uri ben Hur labata Yehuda. What is a b'shem? Rei karasi b'tzalel ben Uri ben Hur labata Yehuda. What's b'shem?
Proclaims his purpose.
Specifically, are called in.
Shem.
So the Ebenezer says that Lefi Pshutai, I named him. We don't find that he named him. I mean, except here, we don't find. The Shem Hashem, the Or Chaim says Shem Hashem. Shem Hashem. So, B'Tzel Kel, B'Tzalel, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Al Pi Chazal, when he saw the way B'Tzalel was building the Mishkan, he was 13 years old. So the way he was building this Mishkan, so Moshe Rabbeinu told him, B'Tzel Kel Ata. B'Tzel Kel Ata. This is a direct reflection or shadow of Kel, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's Chochma there in this Mishkan, but it's not that, in other words, it's not that there's Chochma, wow, this is built smartly, this is built beautifully. No, you took B'Tzel Kel, here's Hashem, and then Hashem casts a shadow. This is the shadow. So in other words, this is a debus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kiviyachol, in shadow form. You're a debus of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shadow form. So he's taking something from the Keser, and he's bringing it down. So I have 5 minutes. I don't know what time it is. Let's do the Rabbeinu Bachia here. There's somebody, the Mefarshim of this pasuk is like Vivaldi. The idiot, says the Rabbeinu Bachia. Idiot. The pshat over here is ki efshar b'teva sheyimatzei b'Yisrael shub adam sheyabaki v'sholei b'shub u'manois ba'olam. It doesn't make sense that anybody should have the talent and the ability to do what B'Tzalel did. V'Yisrael hayu b'shub adam b'Mitzrayim. Avodas parach. They know how to build bricks. They know how to get the callous hands. They weren't fine. Nobody was able to do the fine art. So they never saw it even. They loved to some people. Now you need to apprentice, you need to get a teacher to teach you. You can't, there wasn't one Jew in the whole Klal Yisrael that had apprenticed a jeweler to know how to do this fine gold work or fine filigree stuff who could do that. And even if you'll find somebody that was a chacham ubaki, even if he had some kind of a Messiah from his Zavos to be a goldsmith, certainly 200 years of slavery would have knocked it out of his system. They're grub of people, grub. We were our calloused hands. Now you come up with a 13-year-old kid who's a bucky in everything. Daka v'yafa, so fine, so beautiful. But not just in one malacha, but in every malacha. You were talking about weaving, we're talking about gold and silver, we're talking about wood. Kula b'chesed b'zav v'nechoshes b'charoshes evan b'charoshes eitz v'choshe v'roike v'oirei. He knows a pella gadol, says the Rabbeinu Chaim. It's a pella gadol. Not only that, he's smart too. It's like sometimes you get somebody who's got tremendous talent, an artist, but calls that Nimsa B'Tzalel. Darsha Chazal, this is the words of the brachas that hey, Yodeya Haya B'Tzalel L'Tzaref Oisiyai Shenivrahu By Shamayim Va'aretz. What does that mean? A Chazal we always hear. That the same ingredients that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used to create the Shemayim Va'aretz, the Oisiyais, that's the same thing that B'Tzalel used to create the Mishkan. You see what B'Shem means? B'Shem, Karasi B'Shem. B'Shem is the first gilui of a person's pnimius. Everybody knows your name. You can find it in the phone book on the internet, but you don't know my pnimius. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Shem, and Rav Moshe Rabbeinu says everybody wants to know what's your name, we're talking about something external. We're talking about something, a gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu behavior. So Karasi B'Shem, that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu took his essence, and he took Oisiyos, Kol HaChaf Beis Oisiyos, the Zohar says, Heim Shemai Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because you take Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, those are articulate, ah, ba, ba, ba. That's the first sounds, like what a baby makes. Those are the first sounds of a Gilui of Pnim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the world, and then the world was made out of those oisiyos. There's the Lashon of Rav Kook in the first Oros says, Kol ha'olam kulei malei oisiyos, which is a Lashon he takes, I believe, from Rav Tzaddik. Kol ha'olam kulei malei oisiyos. It's all, an os is the ultimate articulation. Now it just entered into this world. Ah, oh, eh. Shifra upua shebifapea avlad. Rashi says that she would ku when you ku a baby. You're bringing that out into Gully. You're bringing something pnim into Gully. So Amalei says Chazal Yodeya haYibetzala. Look how Chazal understood Betzala. How we all go over this so quickly. Yodeya haYibetzala Tzaref Oisiyos. He did the same thing that Hashem did. He took the Oisiyos, which is the Chochma El Yoina, the articulation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, and he used the same oisius that were created for the Brias HaOlam. He used those same oisius. He knew how to be Mitzaref oisius to build the Mishkan. Says the pasuk in Mishlei, I'm reading the Rabbeinu Machia. Hashem b'chochma yosad oretz. With chochma, he created the world. Koinei shamayim b'svuna. B'daitoi tohoimais nivko. Shlomo Melech is so beautiful. You want to hug Shlomo Melech here. Look what he says over here. Hashem b'chochma, three things. B'chochma yosad oretz. Koinei shamayim b'svuna. B'daitoi tohoimais nivko. This is not poetry. Chochma, bina, das. V'al kein amar rei karasi b'shem. Koloimar, Re'eh zeh ha'pele ha'godol, shani kairei ha'doros mirosh, v'karasi b'shem b'tzal b'nuri b'chul ha'havin, soid ha'mishkan v'chelav, v'lisasek v'mlachtei, v'hayatam b'shem b'tzalel, b'shmoishel b'tzmano, yesh b'shem shu ha'shem yisala kamoi, v'yidoacha b'shem. V'yavei lirmais ki b'tzalel v'hu adin l'shar nevim, kulam shenetzlu b'shem ha'godol. So it's Hashem, but it's the articulation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Gilui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, which is what we're all, I'm going to end with this point, even though it's in the middle, we're all meant to be doing this. What we're all meant to be doing is what Betzalel did, is to take something which is completely esoteric and bring it into the world, take the Chochma and be mispashit al kol olam kulai. Take that Chochma and bring it into Malchus. Give that Chochma into the world. That's what human beings are supposed to be doing, especially Jews. How do you do it? Betzalel did it by building a Mishkan. You see, what's the...
how do we do it?
How do we do it? So, we'll go through the Tomer Devorah. I'll tell you a holy story, that like a Kabbalistic story that a fellow told me in Buffalo, a Holocaust survivor. So he said that he was standing in a death march, a death line, going into a gas chamber, the two lines, and then they would come and pick this one, pick that one. Survival of the fittest, right? If you look strong, if you look like you had some kind of use to them, so they take you out of the death line, or otherwise you stay in the death line. And he's there, he's going to die. So he wasn't particularly beautiful, and he wasn't particularly strong, and he wasn't particularly useful. He was just a 17-year-old kid or something. And he was in this death line, and a guy, an officer, drives comes up with a Jeep, a Nazi, and he screams in German that we need an electrician. Somebody heard electrician. We need an electrician. So he raised his hand, this guy, and he says, I'm an electrician. So he tells me, he says, what's the worst going to do? Kill me? I mean, like, or maybe I'll blow up this whole darn camp anyway. I had no idea, like electrician. So he was answering my question, just as to how he became an electrician.
Real? You really became an electrician?
Yeah, he became an electrician. Maybe you even know him. Roth, his name was. So Roth was an electrician. That's what he did. He was an electrician. He became an electrician while standing in line at the to walk into a gas chamber. I say it's a Kabbalistic story because the thing is like this, that everything comes from Shammai, right? So the pshat is that what was Betzalel stood up. I'll build the Mishkan. So I'll build the Mishkan. That's all. So came this ruach. Amalei say, you want to build a Mishkan? So the Arizal says it like this: that Reishis Chochma Yiras Hashem. That Chochma is the Ratzon of a person, and that's the new translation, the new working translation that we have. Nothing to do with IQ. Chochma is the Ratzon Harishan of a person. Is called Chochma. The Ratzon Harishan of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu Librayas Oilam B'Midas Hamtin. Rosh Eina Oilam B'Skai. That's already Bina. Let's test this out on something. The Chochma of a Kadosh Baruch Hu is his Ratzon Harishan. The Chochma of an Adam is the Ratzon Harishan. If the Ratzon Harishan is correct, it's unbelievable what Siyata D'Shmaya you can come up with. So to answer your question, the first thing we need to know is Hineni. I'm an electrician. I could start a Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Avinu said a lot of things you can do just by stepping forward and saying I'll do this, and then Va'amalei say Ruach Elikim. So the Chachma El Yoda is not about IQ and it's not about talent. It's not, because all of this, as the Rabbi Haber says, is completely impossible from a natural. Oh, we got this this whiz kid over here. Betzalel let him build a Mishkan. No, Betzalel stood up somehow, maybe because he was 13 and naive. He stood up and he said, I'll build a Mishkan. I can build a Mishkan. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, okay. Moshe Rabbeinu, by the way, was being mefalpil over here. And he was saying, how could it be? How could the infinite fit into the finite? How could it be that I'm going to take the Shechina of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and I'm going to fit it into Chaf Beis Amos on Chaf Beis Amos? While he's being mefalpil, but tells him, raise his hand, I'll build the Mishkan. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him. And that's the beginning and the end of Betzalel. That was his contribution. So, we all need to build some kind of a Mishkan here, and that's the Chochma that we can get from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then it goes to Bina, where it gets more practical, and then it goes into the spheres, where it gets more physical. But the Chochma is a zach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Amalei Oisai Ruach Chochma Karasi B'Shem. So now you became B'Tzel Kel. You became a reflection of HaKadosh
How
Baruch
do
Hu.
we know that Betzalel didn't have that craftsmanship already, but not to the extent to be able to build a Mishkan, but it's because he had something that Hashem gave him before.
Yishmak. So that's what the Gemara says. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu noisen chachma ela l'misha yesh boi chachma. So everybody says, what's the first chachma? So Rishis chachma yiras Hashem, or the chachma was he felt an atiyah to it. He felt an atiyah to it. So if we feel an atiyah to something,
Do it.
I could do it. Do it. Do it. That's the point. Do it. If it's a good thing, do it. I'm absolutely clear. It's clear to me, just like I'm a little bit of an amateur historian, absolutely clear to me that the people in history, it was always Yechidim, that have changed the whole world, saved millions of people, or destroyed millions of people. Good Ratzon, bad Ratzon. I don't think that they would, see themselves as, I can do this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do this. Obviously, that should be with positive. I'm going to try to do this.
Nachshon ben Amitam.
I'm going to do it. That's all. So, and Betzalel said, I'm going to do it. And that's the Chochma. You say, that's the Chochma that we're talking about. Okay.